Invocation to the Lord. Dear Lord, allow my spirit to rise to your heights, to drink from the true fountains of wisdom, and absorb your powerful vibrations of love and faith, of purification and spiritual and material strength, of spiritual power, peace, understanding, health, prosperity, and harmony to pour over my brothers and sisters. Lesson 11. Prayer. Effects of prayer. Practice of prayer and effects of prayer. Prayer is always followed by a result when it is made in convenient conditions. No person ever prayed without learning something. Meanwhile, praying is considered by modern people as a habit fallen into disuse, a superstition, or a remnant of barbarism. That is why we are almost completely ignorant of its effects, which are, in fact, the causes of this ignorance. First of all, the scarce use of prayer. The sense of the sacred is on the verge of disappearing among the civilized. Moreover, prayer is often sterile, since most of those who pray are selfish, liars, prideful, and hypocrites incapable of faith and love. The answer to our requests and to our love is usually given slowly, insensibly, and inaudibly. Observers are often disoriented by the fact that the response is, in many cases, far from what was expected. In doing so, the one who asks for the cure of an organic disease remains ill, but undergoes a profound and inexplicable moral transformation. Psychophysiological effects. Prayer acts on the spirit and on the body in a way that seems to depend on its quality, intensity, and frequency. It is easy to know what the frequency of a prayer is, and to a certain extent, its intensity. As for the quality, it remains unknown, since we have no means to measure the faith and love capacity of one another. When prayer is habitual and truly fervent, its influence becomes more manifested, and we can compare it to an internal secretion gland, such as the thyroid or the adrenal gland. It consists of a kind of mental and organic transformation that takes place progressively. It should be said that a flame is ignited in the deepest part of consciousness. The person sees themselves as they truly are, exposing their selfishness, greed, misjudgments, and pride. And then they commit to the fulfillment of moral duty, striving to acquire intellectual humility. As a result, the kingdom of grace opens before them. Gradually, an inner tranquility develops within them, a harmony of nervous and moral activities, a greater acceptance of poverty, slander, hardships, an increased capacity to endure, without faltering, the loss of loved ones, pain, illness, and death. For this reason, the physician who sees their patient praying should rejoice, for the calmness that comes from prayer is a powerful aid to them. However, we should not consider prayer as something similar to morphine, since prayer brings about, at the same time as calmness, an integration of mental activities and a kind of blossom of personality. Sometimes, prayer even produces heroism and marks its faithful ones with a particular seal. The purity of gaze, the calmness of demeanor, the serene joy of expression, the virility of behavior, and, if necessary, the simple acceptance of the death of the soldier or the martyr, translate the presence of the treasure hidden in the innermost depths of the organs and the spirit. Prayer elevates humankind above the mental stature that corresponds to their heredity and education. This contact with the divine impregnates them with peace. Peace radiates from them, and they bring peace wherever they go. Healing effects. The healing effects of prayer have always attracted the attention of humankind. Today, it is still common to hear of cures obtained thanks to pleas addressed to God and to the saints, although in the case of ailments that are likely to heal spontaneously or with the help of common medicine, it is difficult to determine what the real agent of cure was. It is only in cases where the therapeutics is inapplicable or when it produces no effect that the results of prayer can be surely verified. The medical repartition of Lourdes has rendered a great service to science by demonstrating the reality of these cures. Prayer sometimes has an effect that could be called explosive. There are patients who have been cured almost instantly of conditions such as facial lupus, cancer, kidney infections, pulmonary tuberculosis, bone tuberculosis, peritoneal tuberculosis, etc. The phenomenon almost always occurs in the same way. A great pain immediately followed by the perception of being cured. In a few seconds, or at most in a few hours, the symptoms disappear, and the organic lesions heal. The miracle is characterized by a strange acceleration of the normal healing processes, and such acceleration has never been observed until now in the course of experiences made by surgeons and physiologists. For these phenomena to occur, it is not necessary for the sick person to pray, since infants who did not yet speak have been cured in Lourdes, as well as incredulous people. Someone, in the meantime, prayed near them. The prayer made by another is always more fruitful than the one made by the person interested in receiving the benefits. The effect of prayer seems to depend on the intensity and quality of prayer itself. Such are the results of prayer of which I have certain knowledge. What we already know for sure is that prayer produces palpable effects. As strange as this may seem, one must consider as reality that one who asks receives, and the door is always open to those who knock. The importance of prayer is directly related to its intensity, emanating from the faith of the one who prays, and to its intention, connected to the feelings of the one who asks. Thus, it is the practice of prayer not only a way of asking, but also a means to obtain, since prayer will always have its effect, but the effect of prayer always responds to the faith and intention of the one who prays. Prayers merely recited will be worthless, for it is not only the word that is necessary, but the vibration that defines and connects it. That vibration, which depends on faith and feeling, can be dense or subtle, and therefore reach the sublime elevation or remain on lower planes. Do not suppose that praying is to ask in desperation for the achievements of your own human life. To pray is to surrender, with absolute faith in the love and divine power manifested in the higher beings to whom one prays, the problems and desires for good that you wish to see transformed into achievements. Get used to asking for the good of your brothers and sisters. Hence, your spirit will easily find a path to connect you with the sources of all good when you need to ask for yourselves. A well-performed prayer can be considered as an achievement. For if apparently the deeds that you can see do not agree with what you expect, you will know that if in prayer you ask for good, the answer will always be the good you need. even if that good should come to you in a completely different manifestation from what you expected. Pray, not out of habit, but out of desire and the spiritual need to get close to the divine sources. You will thus find and enjoy the true and intense pleasure of prayer. Invocation of love. The enormous forces that, attracted by your minds and hearts, are approaching your planet to form the joint vibration have an incredibly intense power of action. Your love uses that power of action for the good of humankind. Humankind is thus receiving impacts from higher forces that will gradually overcome the resistance of the negative forces that surround it. In order for these impacts of good to accomplish their work more quickly, you should adopt and use, at the end of your meetings, a short prayer that unites and focuses these enormous forces towards the basic and pressing need of humankind, love and peace. The prayer shall be: united our hearts to the heart of the Christ, and united our minds to the mind of the Christ, may His love and His power awaken love among humankind and bring peace to earth. Each being who recites this prayer with faith and true desire for good will be a channel to project over humankind the power and love of the Christ, each one according to their own spiritual capacity, which, united, multiplies and spreads enormous reach. The deeds will then be produced according to the vibrations that this joint prayer will bring to the minds and hearts of humankind in all groups and in all countries. And thus, those who will have to carry out the common good will be strengthened, and their paths will be eased, while the negative opposition will become increasingly weaker. Prayer practice. We suggest that, starting from this lesson, you begin to perform daily, preferably in the morning before or after getting up, the following exercise. If possible, concentrate in solitude for 10 minutes. 1. Mentally recite the invocation to the Lord, intensely concentrating on its content and meaning. 2. Try to elevate yourself spiritually to connect with the Lord's vibration in order to absorb His forces and His vibrations. As you perform this practice, you will feel deep peace, harmony, faith, and love. 3. To raise a prayer that these thoughts and feelings wrap humankind and bring peace to earth. 4. Strive for the vibration achieved with this practice to be maintained during the day through all situations and circumstances in which you must act.